All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Once Upon a Game. I believe this is Season 4, Episode 16, maybe 17. I never can remember. Then we're playing a game called Polaris by Ben Lehman. If you don't know what this show is, this is Once Upon a Game. This is the one-shot story game, role-playing game show. Sometimes we don't do story games. Sometimes we do our regular stuff. But I like to say it's a story game show. So, yeah. So I'm Eric. I'm your host and facilitator today. We're going to be playing Polaris, which is a tragic game. It's a tragedy story about knights in a bygone era of twilight, of night, of sky, and a lot of ice. I think is another part. Like basically, you're on the North Pole before time, and there's a nice, pretty kingdom. Whether or not you're actually people or like ice spirits is something we can decide. But ultimately, the big problem is that our capital was destroyed. The capital of this world was obliterated, and left in it is this darkness, this complete void. It's called The Mistake, and we're going to be playing this game about our knights trying to correct this mistake once and for all, and going to tragically fail. But just like all story games, they're all just kind of skeletal frameworks for a story. The real magic of these games comes from the players. And so, speaking of the players, let's just bring it down in order of the I have on the Stram overlays. Sam, good to see you. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me back on. I'm Sam, aka Wizened Fool on Twitch, at the Wizened Fool on Twitter.
What are your preferred pronouns?
SEO. Oh, I'm he/him. For those who haven't seen me play before, I also am lucky enough to play Burning Crowns, the Burning Wheel RPG with Eric on Sundays. And if you're not watching that, you're making a mistake.
It's a really good game.
It's fun. We have fun. We have fun. But yeah, I'm really excited. I haven't played Polaris in way too long. And this is I think this is the first story game and Once Upon a Game thing I did with you, Eric. So
I think so,
to be back.
Yeah. It's weird. I think the only few times you've played with me have been Polaris and Microscope.
The Quiet Year. We played the Quiet Year.
We played the Quiet Year. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But you're right.
Yeah.
Other than that, I played like 2 games of Microscope. We used to play a lot of Microscope.
Yeah, I played a lot of Microscope. Yeah, cool. Thanks. And following Sam, we have Elle. Hi, Elle.
Hi, I'm Elle. I'm new here.
Yes.
I use these air pronouns. You can find me on Twitter at occasional_L, and you can find the podcast that I do at suncityduet.com. We're releasing our first episode tonight as soon as my co-player finishes editing and uploading it.
Ooh.
Smart move, making the other person do the editing.
I was gonna say the exact same thing.
I did the first round of editing, and then I pass it off to him, and he's doing like the inserts and the final pass.
Oh, good.
He's a sound design major. He should be doing all of the editing.
Yeah, that's hard. That makes a lot of sense, because I was like, you're a first comer on the show, but you have a very nice microphone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, awesome, cool. Well, thank you so much, Elle. And so, Elle, Sam, yeah. And besides, my pronouns are he/him. We are playing Polaris, and so like I mentioned earlier, we're playing these knights, and we all know that we're going to fail our mission. Okay, that's bound by the rules. But before that, and do anything like that, we're going to be playing essentially 2 games in tandem. We're going to be telling 2 different stories, and I'll explain why in just a second. One of us in one of these stories is going to be playing the protagonist of the story. They're going to be playing the knight. They're at the heart. If you're looking here on screen, that's what's in the middle right here. It's the heart. And surrounding them are friends or enemies. So to the full moon are your sort of like business or hierarchical relationships. Those are your bosses, your kings, that kind of stuff. Even like familial, if they're not very close to you, right? They're people you know, maybe even that kind of stuff. However, because let me just put it the opposite way. Let me describe the new moon, and then you'll see the complementary set. The new moon is your emotional relationships. These are the people that these are your people, the people you truly love. So like and your little romantic interests, your baby brother, that kind of stuff, right? things that things of the heart. And then last but not least are the mistaken. And now it's totally possible for non-player characters to rotate between moons and the mistaken. But the mistaken are those who have been corrupted by the mistake. These are those that are influenced by them. And they're going to be played by the antagonist character today. So each story is going to typically is comprised of 4 people, but since one player couldn't make it today, we're going to have 3 people. And one person is going to be doing double duty for the moons and such. So with that being said, the other story obviously reverses it, right? So then if one person's the protagonist, then you should probably do the antagonist or the moons or whatever. Okay, so because there's 3 players, I'm going to put this forward to you because I've played this game a lot, and I don't think it would be as fun for you guys. I have no problem being the moon for both of these games, if you guys want to switch off between protagonist and antagonist. Is that something you guys are interested in?
That works for me.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Then you guys both get to be the stars of your own stories. See what I did there with stars? Because this is Twilight stuff. Yeah, okay. So, looking at this sheet here, you might be wondering what the heck else is on here. Do this, by the way, while I'm doing this and describing this stuff, in the book, figure out how you want to name your character, if you haven't already. So in the meantime, so over here in the office section, we have a Knight of a Starlit Order. These are the titles your character can earn through the game. Blue Light, this is a game called Polaris by Ben Lehman. I think it's a 2004 Game Chef winner, or maybe at least honorable finalist game. That was a really rough year to pick a good game. Like, The Mountain Witch came out as well. Like, it was a good year. Anyways, a Knight of the Starlit Order, right? So you are a knight. You are part of this Starlit Order. What this means and stuff is going to be contingent on the game. The next one is Blessings. These are items and equipment that your character has. You have a Starlit Sword. Once again, what does that mean? We will discover what that is. Then last but not least, we have Lore of Demons. And this is, you have knowledge of demons and the mistaken. That's at your disposal. Does that mean you can cast spells, or like, are you a cleric kind of stuff? I don't know. We can figure that through play. And another thing to keep in mind here, because we're doing 2 different stories, they need not be related. In a non-one-shot version of this game, there's a 4th category that we play with called Fates that ties all the characters together. Because normally in Polaris, there's 4 different main characters, and you just will rotate through. Imagine each person gets to be a protagonist, and you sit in sort of like the plus sign style, and so everyone has a protagonist, antagonist, moons, and there's like 4 stories going on. You just rotate between them. In this sort of like speedy one-shot stripped out version, we just strip that out, and we're just gonna be okay. And then I think the last thing I want to do is describe a little bit how we play. The first thing we're going to be doing, because this game is kind of old and has a little like weird thing to it. This game is very rules light. There is almost no rules at all. The only thing is that starting the game, the protagonist is going to be setting the scenes and what's happening. In response, the antagonist is going to be putting forward problems for you to face. And what does that mean? So the protagonist has the power to basically whatever they say goes when it's their turn. They can, if you want to cut the head off the giant dragon, you can do so, and you say so, you declare it. The antagonist, upon hearing something that they don't like, or hearing something that, this should be more complicated than what you're saying and how easy it is, they can say something, but there is a cost. And then you enter this thing called basically a duel. Like if you're playing poker, you fictionally raise your stakes here, and it's called like a conflict. And this is really the only thing about the game that needs to really be known. So once the person says, but there is a consequence, they describe, well, you go off to cut off the head of the dragon, but not before the dragon burns down the town you were trying to defend, right? And then it's like, back to you, protagonist. Are you cool with that answer? If you're cool with that answer, you could say, okay, and so it was. And then it happens, and you're good, and you just keep playing right after that point. The alternate thing you can say is, but only if, and then re-escalate and be like, sure, but no one's mad at me for doing it because this dragon was awful and no one else could even stand up, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then last thing, though, is if you think what they're asking is way too much, you can say you're asking too much. And you can do that up to 2 times per conflict. And by doing that, the person who put forward the dragon destroyed the town, they have to come up with an alternate one, and then you come up and you have to choose between those 2 answers. That is literally the game. When you're done and you feel like you hit a good part of the scene for that moment, then the antagonist will set a scene for you, and then vice versa. And you just kind of flip-flop back and forth. Okay. And by nature of this game, I think maybe we're going to do... I'm still going to try to play this as normally you would with 4 players. So we're going to do like protagonist 1, protagonist 2, antagonist 1, antagonist 2. Does that make sense? Because we have 2 different stories going on. Okay. I know I just rambled on for like 20 minutes and I'm done. So let's get to it. Who wants to be the first protagonist?
I will defer to the new player. You can make the decision for us.
I would prefer to not be the first protagonist.
All right, then it will be me. So yeah, I'll be the first protagonist. Let's get a good name for the protagonist. We are going to go with... I had a good one and then I lost it. Let's go with Nekar, which means the cattleman. It's Nekkar. And the last time I played this game, I did kind of like a Magus type character, I think, for my protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
referring to Fall of Magic.
Yeah, basically. I think Nekar is a little bit less of a traditional protagonist. I think where his name comes from is maybe like his original profession was, as a cattleman, tending to a herd. And he sort of was elevated to this position. And maybe he was he has some sort of, he's working up to becoming a knight of the Starlit Order. I pick one of the things first, right?
No, so you have all 3 of these things to you. In fact, you gain an extra thing of these 3 types of categories to choose at this point, or we can wait and start fleshing things out and then you get another one. Okay?
Okay, so I start as a knight of Starlit Order with the Starlit Sword and the Lord of Demons.
Yes, and then you can get something else, right? For example, I never described it. Another blessing would be an amazing singing voice, or the best singer in the land. You could give yourself titles as well.
Yeah, I think
Prince, right? That could be a thing. That kind of stuff. Anything you can really think is interesting. Because keep in mind, the stuff that you're writing on that sheet out here is stuff that the antagonist is going to be using and threatening you with of losing, right?
I think going off of the naming convention, I haven't really figured out what this is yet, but the 4th blessing I think is going to be the Shepherd's Crook.
Is crook spelled C-R-O-K?
Yes.
Yeah. I think you got it.
CR 2 O's.
Yes.
And then a K.
Perfect.
And then do we jump over to the antagonist first, or do I have something else?
No. So the next thing we got to do is we get to create NPCs for our characters, and then we need to have at least one. Just like there must always be a Stark in Winterfell, we must always have a name in the Full Moon, New Moon, and Mistaken.
Gotcha.
So, I think it would be kind of weird if I make up both names for the full moons. So, Elle, how about you help me out for this one? Okay?
Okay. How about Matar? It means rain. It's in Pegasus.
Matar.
M-A-T-R. No, M-A-T-A-R. That's the right amount of vowels.
Now is Matar? Do you think so? So let's work together here. Like, who do you think Matar is? Like, who do you? What do they represent?
Rain is really good at representing like change.
See, no, that immediately makes me think. That actually makes me think there should be a Mistaken. That's the name of the Mistaken.
Okay.
Or it could be something else. What if it's what are you thinking, Sam?
Well, I've got an interesting idea. I didn't really think of this coming up with it, but I'm sort of reminded of if anyone's familiar of the story of behind behind King David, where he was sort of like chosen, tending to the flock or whatever. Maybe Matar, as the sort of symbol of change, was the one who identified Nakar and was able to see that this person had a destiny greater than tending to the flock.
So that's that's a full moon. That's like almost not like a mentor, but like a prophet of, right?
Isn't that full? Aren't we doing the full moon? Wasn't that?
Yeah, that's definitely a full moon.
I was like, okay,
cool. I'm gonna add a note there because that sounds good, and I think it kind of makes sense for the protagonist to fill in some of those details too, because like these are your people in your life. So yeah, let's say prophet. They're like Qui-Gon Jinn, right?
Yeah. Except, hopefully not terribly misusing a good actor the way all of that original trilogy does.
Is what's gender is Nakar? So
I think Nakar is a he him.
Okay.
As well.
Okay. For a new moon.
I found a great new moon name for you.
I'm thinking familial. I'm thinking dad. Go with your dad. Or mom. Maybe your mom. Let's do your mom. You have a lot of males. Let's do it with your mom. What's your name that you have?
It's one of the stars in Canis Major is Wezen. Wezen, which is the weight, which I thought was kind of apt for the new moon character, the character that is that loving relationship, that emotional relationship.
Cool. Wezen is your mom.
Oh, is Matar a man? Did we decide that?
Yeah, that's right. Oh no, we didn't.
No, we decided Nakar.
Yeah. Nakar is he, him, but I don't think we just figured out Matar. Since I'm a moon, I'm gonna say that they are. I think they're they.
I mean, they might not even be a person.
That's what I'm thinking. That's exactly what I'm thinking. No, I know exactly what Matar is. Matar is your head sheep. It has it has a like a prognostication type thing to it, right? And like so all the other sheep, let's do it. And I feel like it could probably talk. So let's do that. I'm just gonna put he, him in a car. Okay, and now Elle, you get to come up with a Mistaken.
Yes. Okay. I was gonna go with Spica, which is one of the stars in Virgo. It means ear of wheat. It's S-P-I-C-A. And I was thinking of somebody who like comes from similar origins as Nakar. Like he was a farmer, like Nakar was a shepherd, but has moved in a completely different direction with their life.
Yeah, so what do you think they're doing now?
I don't know. Maybe they're like maybe they left the life of farming and they're like, we're working in like the bureaucracy of the city.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna say city. Oh God, how do you spell bureaucrat? B-U. No, B-E-A-U.
I would just type it into Google.
Bureaucrat.
I have a better idea. I'm just gonna use a hyphen. Say B-crat. Call it a day. Work here is done.
So do you we can always wait to flesh this out, but do you know, El? I mean, we know that the city was sort of like fallen or destroyed somehow. Was Spica instrumental in that, or was their role more tangential?
So you can imagine there's other cities, right? Just the capital was destroyed.
Oh, my bad. I misunderstood.
No problem. That was a small detail in a waterfall of just word vomit. So that's totally fine. But yeah, so what is Spica's relationship to Nakar? So like they obviously have they had a past that they were both shepherds, but were they friends and then like are they like rivals or like what is their relationship?
I think maybe Spica resents Nakar for being able to stay as a shepherd and be content in it and like still like having a future. And Spica was like, no, I need to get out of here because that was the only way they saw there being a future. And now they're looking back at Nakar like, oh, I didn't have to like leave everything that I knew.
Oh yeah, resentful. That's good. I like that. I like how. Yeah.
I was gonna say I love that idea of like, it's like they're super resentful because it's like I had to leave to no longer be a shepherd. But you just stayed there and you still get all of this stuff.
You get a cool talking sheep.
Yeah, it's like I also really like how close, like how homey your game is a little bit, like how everything's pretty close by, compared to like some other games where like the mistaking can be just like a nebulous dragon, right? So, good stuff. Now let's just flesh out the other game and then we can get started.
Cool.
So, Sam, you're going to be the antagonist of this game, and Elle, you're going to be the protagonist of this one.
Yes. And I'm scrolling through these names and I just got to the list of names that's just different leaps of gazelles.
Yeah.
What I was looking for, and I know that it's in here because I saw it. Antares. Does anybody have the spelling for that one?
I believe it's Antares. I'm almost positive, but that is the star in Scorpio, I believe. If you're looking
yes.
for it.
Yes, it is against Aries.
Great name.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's also a beautiful star when you can
Yes.
see it.
Okay.
Yes, I was out in the middle of nowhere earlier this month and we went stargazing several times and it was really, really pretty.
That's awesome. It's
Wow.
like a big red one, right? Red star.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's bright as heck.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. What's Antares' pronouns?
Antares, let's do they, them.
Okay. And what's kind of their story and what's their sort of perk that they have in addition to being a knight, having a starlit sword and lore of demons?
I think they have a commanding voice.
Nice.
They're like I mean they are against Ares, but I think that they were like a commander of some sort. Like rose up in the ranks, maybe had like a ship or something.
Oh yeah.
That's their whole deal is like protecting people.
Yeah, definitely getting that protector commander vibe.
I like
Cool.
that.
So of course I'm going to have I'm gonna come up with a name for your. Oh yeah, okay. I have your new moon. I think this is your best friend, your like, you know, the soldier, your rising, not I want to say rising star, but like your soldier who you can always trust to get the job done, right? Like your Achilles, right? And they're Lasath. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's the Sting.
Ooh.
I think it's
that's a great soldier name.
I think it's I think they have she, her, and she, her, and soldier friend. So this is more than just your best soldier. This is someone you care about, right? Like this is you know, this is the person you have a lot of stories with about all the various things. Yeah. Cool.
Is it more of like a like soldiers in arms type
Yeah,
relationship?
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to do the full moon first, or do we do the mistake?
No, since I just went, how about you do the mistaken, and then we'll fill up the full moon.
So whenever someone does like a soldiery type, I'm always like, my first instinct is to like try to make the mistaken something that you can't just like fight with a sword. So I am gonna choose the name Al Bali, which is AL space BALI. Which is from the constellation Aquarius, and the translation is the Swallower. And I think that
it's a good mistaken name.
Yeah. Al Bali, I think, is like the spirit of winter. So it's probably it, as opposed to like, I don't think that you would really like personify it even to like a they them point. I think it's just like it's the winter.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. And then I guess we'd come with a full moon. Help me out here, Al.
Oh yeah.
So you're a commander, but do you is there like someone you take orders from?
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm a commander of like my group, which is maybe like 30 people. But there's somebody who's telling me like where to go.
Right. Ooh. Okay, let me find a good name for them. Meropa is bee eater. I'm glad there's a name for it. I'm go with Queen Tucana.
Ooh.
That's good. Excellent.
And Queen Tucana is also the warrior queen and crusader who's running your army. So they're your boss, right? Cool. And with that all done and squared away, I think we're about ready to begin. So we jump over to the story of Nekar. And Sam, as the protagonist, you are ready to begin and set the scene. You're trying to accomplish something. It's usually good to think of a scene of trying to set out to accomplish something. And Elle, you're supposed to be adversarial. You're supposed to make sure that the price that Nekar pays for the things in his success is not worth the cost, right? Or, it's too much, right?
Yeah.
So I have an idea here, and you can tell me if it's not goal-oriented quite enough.
It doesn't have to be goal oriented. It's just that I feel like it's a good way of thinking about if you are drawing a blank about the direction of where you want to take your character.
So I'm kind of jumping off of your idea of, I mean, it was kind of all of our idea, but this sort of like homey aspect of this game. And it seems like Nakar is the kind of person who like is having this more thrust upon him than like embracing it. I think I want to maybe see a scene of like what gets him to leave his village or town or whatever. What gets him to leave and really take up the mantle of the Knight of the Starlit Order, to raise his Starlit Sword and go out and deal with whatever's out there in the world.
Sure.
So
what does that look like?
Yeah,
Where does that
So
start?
I think like to set the scene, I think like we open on like the like classic like farm opening, right? Like we have like the sun rising and like glittering off of the ice, and Nakar's probably like already like up early in the morning, sort of trying to find spots where the frost, the permafrost, is gonna thaw out enough to feed his flock, so that they can graze. And I think maybe like Wezen is like sort of probably like just waking up, or maybe not even woke up yet, and he goes to corral his flock.
Yeah. Wezen is already at the flock and is relieved to see you awake. My son, go, and she brings you over to like the flock, and the flock is like was obfuscating it at first, but Matar is laying down in the field, labored breath, and she says to you very concernedly, says, can you check up on Matar, make sure they're okay. They seem to have trouble sleeping, and well, it seems like things are getting worse, and they speak to you. See what's going on.
Am I the only person that can speak to Matar?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I think Nakar like sort of approaches, and he like uses his crook to like walk on a little bit. He's kind of tired. He's like clearly like shaking off the fog of sleep a little bit. And he approaches, and I don't think he says anything at first. I think he like does what you would do for any like sick animal first. He like tries to like check its heart rate and like sort of like feel around its like belly to see if he can like feel anything wrong. And he sort of, I think Matar needs to speak to him. He can't like open the dialogue.
Sure. All of the other sheep are giving you a wide berth around. Like think of almost like there's like they keep a little circle around it that they won't approach to it. And you hear from Matar, from his labored breath, you say like, "What are you doing? Get away from me."
I'm doing my job. My job is to tend to you, to tend to the flock, to make sure that you have enough to eat, and so the wool can grow thick and keep us warm.
There will be no more wool from me, boy. I'm getting old. I'm afraid this will be my last winter.
He like takes a deep inhale of breath, and his relationship with Matar, I guess, is not an emotional one. It's but you see sort of like a
reverence, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And he says, Matar, you've been with me nearly all of my life. What shall I do? How do I take care of the rest of the sheep? You've always helped me.
I need something, but I don't know what it is. He needs something to like keep him going in these days, but I don't know what that looks like or what that means.
Sounds like an antagonist question.
There's there's something that used to grow in the capital, right? or around the capital. It's like, when I was a young, what do you call it? What do you call a male
Lamb?
goat? No,
No, male
Oh,
goat.
right? Or it's
That's
a
a
No,
horse.
that's a horse. Young goats are kids.
kids. Yeah, when I was a kid. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, around the capital, there were these yellow flowers. Bring them to me, if you can. They'll keep me going until winter.
Matar, my mother can't take care of the rest of the flock on her own. And I've never
Matar-
been.
He struggles to stand up, right? Like he's shaky and stuff, but he does stand up, and he's like, "Go, kid. I can take care of the flock with your mom."
Yeah, I think like that's maybe where like we see. I think he like sort of shoulders his crook, and we like see him like walk over and like pull a. I'm imagining like for the Starlit sword, like a straight sword, but like a lacquered sheath and handle. So like when it comes together, it like doesn't really look like, you can't really tell the separation between the handle and the sheath.
Mm-hmm.
And he like shoulders a pack and sort of looks out onto the horizon, and maybe that's where we see Spica as he's sort of preparing to leave.
Yeah. Just so it's clear, Elle,
Yes.
you don't have to wait to be introduced in the scene as an antagonist. You are always present in a scene. Not necessarily Spica, but you as just a malevolent force of adversity is always available to start, laying seeds, laying the groundwork, giving the protagonist enough rope to then hang themselves later. But
I mean, unless you got something though, like that can totally be the end of the scene.
Yeah, that's fine too. That's totally cool.
I was going to say that there's news that there's been a blockade on some of the major roads towards the capital.
Ooh, I like that. But only if the blockade is made up by like the working class, like people like Nakar who are dissatisfied.
Okay.
Cool.
Right. And so it was. I think that's the end of the scene, is like we see Nakar like heading off into the distance, and maybe there's like a like strange plume of smoke or something on the horizon to like indicate what's going on near the capital.
Yeah. Cool. Now we do story number 2.
Okay, let me finish this row. All right. Let's see what's going on with Antares.
Yep. You get to set the scene.
Okay. So I think Antares is having like that. Antares and their crew, their soldiers are having they're having a rest day. They're in like a small town somewhere. They have like a camp like outside of the town, like they have their tent set up, but they're coming into town to like resupply and stuff. And Antares getting to hang out with their soldiers, getting to hang out with Lysath, like in a bar somewhere.
Is this a strange town? Like, is this a strange town to them? Like, are they been here before? Like, are they like on training, or is this like on a campaign?
This is on a campaign.
Okay.
They're heading somewhere. They have not been here before. I don't think they've been this far. Like, let's pick a direction. North. They haven't been this far north before on this campaign.
Okay. And okay. Yeah, I think Lysath's going to warn you about the Queen has mentioned a few times about this place that be wary of eye contact. the citizens here have... I'm not quite sure, but why would the queen say that?
She has her reasons. She knows more. She has more information than we do. Can you spread the word to the other soldiers to be wary of eye contact?
Of course.
So I think the soldiers are maybe a little bit restless. The barkeep won't tell you why, but he's saying that he doesn't have any like, I guess, beer, ale to serve. He doesn't have any ale for soldiers.
I'm thinking.
No problem. Yeah. No problem. This game takes a couple exchanges to kind of get to grok just how much unlimited power you actually hold. So, like, don't sweat it. And if you always remember, you saw what I did with the sheep about being like, I'm thinking about this idea. Can you guys help me out and flesh it out?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, like don't be afraid to reach out. We're here, but otherwise we don't want to step on your ideas. So we have no problem taking your time.
I have a commanding voice.
Yeah.
I think that could be useful here.
For sure. So what do you say to the bartender?
We have coin like any other. And you would do well to keep us fed.
So I think like the like reaction you get from the bartender is like the same one that, like, you've seen this like 1,000 times when you use your voice of command, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you see someone like snap, and it's like you used the right tone of voice. You know how to say words to get people to do what you want. And so he's like filling a glass of ale like before he even realizes. And then what I will say is I'll say he'll serve you, but only if you pay double.
Okay. The phrase is, and so it was?
And so it was. Yep.
So it was.
Yeah, so he comes around and you know, serves people drinks, and then when you go to pay him, you know, you go to ask him, he like asks for like just a ridiculous sum of money for the drinks.
Yeah. And it's paid. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the and so it was. This is actually something important about the rules. I think I don't want to mess up anybody going forward, because I mean that was okay now, but be wary. In fact, like, don't do it. Don't do conditional things like in the future this thing's going to happen to you. No, like whatever you say happens. So like in the exchange of a conversation in that conflict, you could be like, and the world's destroyed. Yeah, but then I'm like, I built a new world and I've created and it's mine. And then you say, as soon as you say, and so it was, it happens. And we started the part with a new world. So like saying like conditional future things is kind of like this weird, janky thing. So like make sure you're just deciding actions. That's not at you, El. That's just in general to remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. You is there more to see, or is that it?
I think it's just they're moving north.
Well, Lasath finds you and gives you a gift.
Oh, what is it?
For all your conquests. It's is your birthstone or something that's related to your birthday, like your actual, like, not, it's not a birthday gift. It's something about it's a sign about your birthday, and whatever that is in our culture, that's important and signifies you and about being born in this season or this month or even this day or this star, like whatever, you know, your constellation or whatever. It's related to that. So maybe it's something glass, like a glass something. It's a glass. It's a shepherd colt, like the other story. I keep thinking it's a glass ram, right? It's a beautiful glass ram. or Crystal Ran, right?
Okay, I take
And
it. I say,
yeah, and I think they jokingly say, I got something that for you, and I think they say, the merchant asked for some descriptors about you in order to get you the right gift, and all I could think of was your stubbornness. Jokingly, but it's a very beautiful. It's a very, very beautiful piece.
And I
Yeah,
think a
kinda
bunch
like-
of. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I kind of like give her like a friendly like shove on the shoulder, like
Yeah.
stop it.
I think like a couple of the soldiers who are like near enough to hear like just start laughing when she says something about like your stubbornness.
Definitely. Cool. That was that scene?
Yeah.
Cool. See? That easy. Then we jump back over, and Sam. I'm sorry. Oh, that's kind of cool. Elle, you get to go again. You are the antagonist for this one. So sorry to put you on the spot back to back. I didn't realize now that that's gonna happen for everybody. We're gonna do scene, but that's only because of 3 players. But that's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
And for the another thing, like because we're only playing with 3 players. Sorry, I know. Because we're playing with 3 players, you don't have to have a scene including me. Like I'm totally cool with this whole game of me being kind of in the back and you guys just doing stuff and I just can just be there supporting, but I totally understand that I'm throwing you also into this game that you never played before and you're not exactly sure how it works. Okay? So like I understand the dynamics going on, but I also want you to know that I'm okay and got everything's here.
I do have a quick question. Is the person who sets the scene also the person who says scene over, or is that
Yes.
the group that decides? Okay.
No, it's the person who sets the scene gets to decide when the scene's over.
Okay. It's interesting that both of these stories are about traveling. So far.
Traveling makes a good story.
It does.
So yeah, so Nikar, you were traveling to the city and there was a blockade.
Blockade somewhere.
Yeah, there's a blockade on the major road leading to the city.
Okay.
Made up of the common folk. And I think even as you're getting like closer to the city and closer to the blockade, like there's a lot of destruction like on the side of the road. Like something has happened, and that's why there's a blockade. It's not really clear what that thing is, but it probably wasn't good.
Yeah. So like maybe I think like we see like Nakar's like taking a while to get to like travel because like every time he sees like if he sees like someone struggling with like a cart or like trying to like fix a broken wall or a piece of someone trying to relay the cobblestones or what have you, he's like always trying to stop and help people, even though it's like maybe not his job.
Yeah, so it's taking a while, and like the weather is getting worse.
Okay. How bad are we talking?
Like the kind of weather where it's like 30 degrees and not quite snowing. It's like a little bit rainy and it's never quite snowy enough for you to get a break and it's in your face.
Oh, that's just so miserable.
I spent a lot of time waiting at bus stops in this weather.
Yes.
I know. I could definitely hear the personal tantalizations involved. Yes.
So I'll say, but only if there's shelter somewhere that I can get to.
Think, but only if it's crowded.
Ooh, that's a good one. is it too crowded for me to find a spot, or is it just uncomfortable?
It's uncomfortable. You can find a place to lie down, and that's about it.
And so it was. So yeah, Nakar comes across like I think maybe it's like another one of these like sort of maybe it's like sort of like a burned out inn, like or like an inn that like lost a wall or something, and there's sort of like a group of these folk huddled under the shelter, and he sees the shelter and he tries to find a place for himself, but he's kind of a timid fellow, and he's like maybe a little bit too polite for his own good, so he's afraid to like really like assert him. He's like that person on the subway that like just tries to like keep letting everybody else go ahead of them, and so is just never going to get onto the train. And I think maybe he's just sort of like standing, like getting like rain blown on him, and he's like trying to like not be impolite while he like nudges in. But I don't know. Is someone making room for me?
Yes, but they snore.
Okay. But only if they have food and are willing to share.
And so it was.
Yeah, I think so. I think the way we see the end of the scene is we see maybe like a nice like elderly person, maybe not like old but like weathered, is maybe a better way of putting it. And they maybe like offer me like a little piece of bread and maybe some cheese or something, and I share it with them, and Nakar feels like really happy about this. And then the last scene we see is him just up all night as like the person is just snoring in his ear, and that's the end of the scene.
Nice. And then we jump over.
Oh wait, I don't get to end the scene.
Oh.
No,
yeah.
You do. Oh wait, no, that was L's scene. You're right. You're right.
No, that's a fine end.
Okay.
But yeah. I saw you nodding, and I was like, okay, yeah. All right. Yeah. It seemed pretty.
That.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's pretty reasonable. Part of this game is collaborating, and it just making sure we're explicit about that's a good call. Circling back and just making sure that there wasn't any more. So thank you for that. Cool. But now it's the antagonist scene for back to the other original story, or a second story with Antares. Yeah.
So I've got something nice and simple, and it's going to be piggybacking off of what you did. We see the group of soldiers heading north. And the winter, it's probably like still supposed to be fall, but the weather is just like freezing. It's like that, like, I don't know if any of you have ever spent a lot of time in like the Midwest or like the more northern parts of the United States, but every now and then you get one of those like October or November days where it's like, what the hell? It's like 25 degrees. Like, what is going on right now? So yeah, it's one of those days, and you guys are like trudging through the fields, or I'm gonna say it's like a field. You maybe see some like people like tending to their crops or something, but everyone's just kind of having trouble today. It's just too damn cold for this time of year.
Yeah. I think I'm going to start up a song, like a marching song.
So I think you're having trouble getting, like, maybe there are like a couple soldiers that just seem like they're in a bad mood, and you're having trouble getting them to like actually like commit.
Should I make up some names real quick for their characters?
Sure.
Cool. Let's go with Minkar for one of them. So this is not someone you have a lot of association with. This is just a soldier. Their name is Minkar, and yeah, they're being sullen and a little shady, right? So below you, yeah, they're a soldier below you in rank.
Okay.
Right? They're not mistaken, right, Sam?
I don't think
Yet?
yet necessarily,
Right.
but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Okay. Cool. All right. So yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So like Minkar is definitely very sullen. He's very he's very sullen, and I don't think he kind of like just like looks at you without even saying anything to you, Antares, and he goes back to like looking down into his glass.
Into his are we marching or are we like in a place?
I had pictured this as like marching.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought we were
picturing
just
it as
a group.
marching.
I wasn't picturing as okay. See, that's good to know. Okay, we're marching. Then no, like he barely looks at you before marching forward. Like he takes a sip from his wine skin or whatever, like to avoid having to say anything from you or water skin, whatever, with him. As like it's that frigid weather. It's hot, right? He's drinking something hot to keep him warm, right?
Mulled cider, something like that.
Yeah. Exactly. He like wipes his mouth, puts it back, just like kind of just occasionally glances at you and keeps going.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep pace with him. I'm not gonna initiate conversation.
Sure.
But I'm going to keep pace and do that thing where like you're kind of like open to conversation. Like sometimes you like look at the person and you like almost say something but not quite, like
That's
trying
fine.
to get them to like talk to you.
Yeah, Minkar would talk to you.
Yeah.
He would say, isn't it typical for a commander to lead from the front?
I need to think of something good to say after that. It's typical of a commander to know their men.
So I think
There
as
was-
he
oh,
goes to
okay.
take another drink of the cider, he notices that it's now frigid cold.
Yeah. And I think he chucks it down and says, if you wanted to know your men, you could have spent more time hanging out with us instead of just hanging out with Lasath. Sir. Or commander, whatever. Like, I'm sorry, I know, I don't want to say the military, sir, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ser,
Ser.
S-E-R. That's
Yeah.
the gender neutral thing.
Yeah,
I think.
right, okay.
It's been used in things before.
Right, yeah, I just want to make, I want to make
Sir
sure.
Brienne, right?
Yeah,
In
okay,
Game of
Sarah.
Thrones, for
Yeah,
example.
Sarah. Right. Okay. Like maybe he's mistaken. Like not like part of the mistake, but like maybe you actually were. But to him, he feels slighted, right?
So any table I sit at is open for any of my soldiers. And I'm sorry that you have not felt that way.
Thank you, Sarah. It just seems that we are just marching north, further and further. We're not. No, I don't know what country we are. Like no soldiers have gone before, and I feel like we are disturbing on something that. Well, I'm not sure. And they say, right? They feel like they're the ground this like they're shivering, right? And like there's snow on the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
The snow here feels like crushed glass.
Well, this is what. Oh,
Go
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, just as he like, it's like almost as he says that, the weather like seems to almost like respond, and like, or maybe it's hard to know if you like just notice it at that moment or if it like happens at that moment, but like the clouds ahead of you look nasty.
And then we're marching into this.
That is what Commander Queen Tucana will have us do. And Terry's kind of like pulls, like they have a scarf and they kind of like pull it a little tighter across like their neck and this part of the face so that they can still talk.
To where? Where are we going?
Oh man, is it too corny for me to just say to Polaris?
No, not at all.
That's perfect.
Okay, yeah. To Polaris.
Antares, you know that your soldiers will follow you wherever. But no one returns from there. What makes you so confident that we're the exception? There's a reason no one treads north, right?
They have their their starlight sword at their hip, and they kind of grasp the hilt of it, not like threatening to pull it or anything, just like I have this thing.
Yeah.
Or like
this is the difference.
Yes,
right.
This is the difference.
Sure. And I think Minkar cynically asks, have you ever used it?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm gonna push here a little bit.
Yeah.
If you march into this storm, it's going to take one of your soldiers.
Only
Just
if we
one?
have time.
Okay, no, it will take the soldiers.
Wait, all of them?
Except for Lasath. Lasath survives in the group. Well, like, this is your chance to push back, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So remember, you can say you're asking too much, but only if, or so it was.
I'm trying to decide, can I say, but only if two things? Or am I choosing one thing?
You have to choose one thing.
Okay.
So do you risk setting yourself up and saying, and so it was, and losing it? Or, yeah, this is part of the game.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to decide between waiting for reinforcements or burying my men.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just to be clear, like, if you decide not to march forward, to go slower and to not do what Tucano wants, you might not be in such bad shape. It's going into the storm, right?
Mm-hmm.
No. That's not what this argument is. That's not what that is. It's, you have established that now.
All right. That's
that as you march into the storm, you lose all your men, is what you said. Men being soldiers. So
except for Lasath.
Yeah, exactly.
But only if Lasath and I have time to bury them.
That's good. But only if some of the ones who are taken are taken, not dead.
Okay, and so it was.
Well, obviously, Minkar is becoming a mistake and then being taken. Right? That seems pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
So I think then the last scene is like you and Lasath like solemnly burying these bodies. But like, I'm imagining this is like not like a huge contingent of soldiers. I'm imagining this is like maybe like
you said 30, right, Al?
Yeah, I said 30.
Oh, okay, I must have missed that. So like you notice there are only 20 bodies.
All right.
And that's like if you want a reaction to that before I answer,
yeah. At any point when an antagonist establishes something when it's your thing, you can say, but only if, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you're asking too much, and that kind of stuff, right? Like I said, it takes. These are weird. This is weird. This game has weird clothes. It takes a little bit to get used to wearing them.
Yeah, I think it's just something that that Antares remarks upon and like brings up to Lasath is like, this is something that we have to be wary of. Like, we don't know where they went.
Yeah, I think that's the scene then.
Okay. Cool. That's the scene. Then we jump back over. So this is another protagonist scene.
Okay, yeah, it goes back to the protagonist, so it's me again.
Yeah. What I think might be helpful, by the way, because we're judging between two different things, is doing a quick little like recap.
Sure.
What? Yeah.
Do you want me to do that, or do you want
Yeah.
to do that?
No, I think it should be the person who sets the scene should be the one who says, like, okay, so, just quick bullet point, and then so now the next thing we're at is this thing, and
Yeah. So Nakar is his belly is full, but he didn't get a good night's rest because he had someone snoring in his ear all night. He had faced terrible weather and made it to shelter, but wasn't able to sleep. And so again we see him on the road, and I think he's approaching the blockade proper. And I think they're like protesters, but they're like also kind of maybe a little bit bandits. Like they still need to feed themselves. It's still, the utmost north. So he like approaches this group, and he tries to just sort of like put his head down and walk right through them.
Yeah, I think that some of them like put up swords, like not at him, but to bar his path. And they're like, you have to have a permit to come past this point.
He like looks around confused. He's like, "Did you build this road?"
No, but we've been set to guard it.
By who? I've heard the capital has faced a hard time. I didn't realize the roads were still being patrolled.
Orders have come in from not quite the capital, but like a city that's like another large city between here and between where you are and where the capital is.
So I think that Nakar, he like, he sees the swords, and he's a polite guy, but he's also a bit of a coward. And so he'll call on his lore of demons. And what this looks like, I think, is it's like sort of him like muttering to himself a little bit. And the ground maybe like sort of like shifts a little bit, and he wants to make the people blocking his path like stumble so that he can just like duck through.
But only if they send a message ahead to the blockade after this, so you are not to be trusted.
Ooh, that's good. And so it was. Yeah, so he ducks under, and maybe like we get this as like sort of a montage, and like we don't really see him like traveling again, but then we see him like come up against this second blockade, and he just kind of like sighs and like puts his head back, and he plans on doing the same thing. It worked the first time. Why wouldn't it work the second? So he again he approaches.
Yeah, this time they're holding the swords towards him instead of using them to block his path.
So yeah, he like holds up his hands, but like he doesn't have like a sword belt, right? So like in one hand is like the sheathed stylet sword, and then the other is the crook, and he's just kind of like standing there awkwardly like this, and he goes, "I'd prefer not to be stabbed."
Then you're going to have to find another way around or get a permit. Those are your two choices.
I don't want to kill you either.
Yeah, they're not especially threatened by you. Like, you have this sheathed sword, but you also have your hands in the air. So I think they just repeat like, go around or get a permit.
So I think like this is where we see like Nakar lose his temper a little bit. He hasn't gotten a good night's sleep. These people are just like, they don't own this road. Like it's the road. And so like we see him move in a flash of light and like cut down these, or maybe strike down these soldiers. He doesn't actually want to kill them, so he just like he moves like the starlight, but the sword doesn't actually come out of the sheath, and he knocks the two men aside.
Okay, but only if a report goes back to Spica. Spica, and what pronouns did I say for Spica?
Cannot remember.
I don't think we did.
I didn't write them down, so.
Just they.
Yeah, so Spica, and their people.
Okay, but only if word passes to the blockade and everyone is too scared to stop me again.
But only if that means that they will not help you if you're in need of help.
That's good.
That's really good. Oh, that's good.
I don't have a good, but only if, but only if there's enough food in my pack to make it to the next city.
And so it was.
Yeah, so we see Nakar approaching the city gates, and like maybe like we see like a couple of these like montage scenes of like him like approaching the barricade and like them like at first going to stop him and then like noticing who it is and just like letting him go right through. And then unless you're something happens, he makes it to the gates of the city where Spica has his or has their court bureaucracy. I don't know, whatever we call it.
Sure.
I think between then on the
Court.
road.
Yeah.
Yeah, court. You have trouble and you sprain your ankle.
But
okay. I'm gonna chime in real quick. I just want to be careful because it's also like I also didn't mention this. Getting hurt in this game doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So be careful. Okay. I mean, it's fine to like suggest things and stuff like that, but also like realize that it doesn't inhibit the player really in any way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as cool as threatening. It's like you have to come at them like you would Superman, right? Like you have to come across. You have them, at the things they care about.
do you want to up the ante there, or is that okay?
No, I think that's okay for now. It's just that like you're not getting any help from the people. Like they're seeing that you're limping and they're not doing anything about it.
Gotcha.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I develop a limp from this, but only if my crook is enough to get me by.
And so it was.
Yeah, so he approaches the city gates, and he's limping a little bit, but he's like hobbling along on his crook, and he's entirely out of patience at this point. His pack is almost empty, and his stomach is rumbling a bit, and so he looks at these guards and says, "Just let me in."
They say, we've heard from Spica that they would like to speak with you.
Show me to them. Spica was once a friend. Perhaps they can be so again. I think that's a good place to end the scene.
Yeah.
I think we can. Yeah, I think that's the perfect place.
Yeah, the greeting of Spica will be a good next scene for that. Then we jump over to the other game.
Okay, it's back to
Antares.
Yeah, it's gonna go me, you, me.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah, it's kind of weird like that, but so it goes.
I'm okay with it.
Because normally I would be one of the protagonists or antagonists for this game with someone else, who would be the other moon, and that's kind of like how it's supposed to work. But so it goes.
Okay, so Antares and Lasath are still marching north now alone. It's just them and the cold and the weird snow and the darkness of incoming winter. And I think that Nakar has sent word of their soldiers' demise back to Queen Commander Takana. Just to hey, we're still going, but all of my people are dead except for one, and also 10 of them disappeared. So if you want me to turn back, I will turn back, but you're in charge, whatever.
Yeah, I think the time you take to send off the Raven, I guess it's probably too cold for it. What's a good winter type bird?
An owl.
The only thing that's coming to mind is penguin.
They don't fly.
It's got a little message in its little hand. It's doing the best it can. It's just going
oh my god, bag.
Yeah,
it's totally
swaddling over. I'm thinking a snowy owl. Oh yeah,
with the barrel. You know what I'm talking about? From the cartoons with the barrel at its neck. So yeah, we see this dog loping off towards the queen, and there's an you don't see it, but you're gonna get ambushed.
But only if Lasath and I have our weapons at hand.
That's good. But only if Minkar gets to strike first.
And so it was.
Yeah, so you maybe come up, or you're coming down. Yeah, I guess you'd be climbing up a rise. It's a mound of snow, and these creatures, these shapes, pour over the hill, and I think you recognize him, even though his shape has changed, and I'm thinking less the zombies and more the visage is still clearly Minkar, but he moves like the winter wind, and he's probably got sort of a pallid look to his skin. If you could, it's almost translucent.
Yeah.
And I think his blade comes down and slashes across your chest. He's gonna cut you down.
Yeah. Cut me down as in kill me, or cut me down as in cut me?
Oh, that's a good point. You can't die.
Oh right, yeah.
Only the protagonist has the power to let their character die.
Right, I totally forgot about that. No, then
me too. I never said that. You're not wrong. That's my bad.
I gotta go for what you care about.
Yeah.
Oh no, you know what it is? He knocks your sword out of your hand. He shatters the starlit sword.
Yeah.
But only if I have another blade. It's a short sword. It's not as cool as the starlit sword was, but it's still a thing that I can fight with.
Yeah. So with Seth, I think it's unclear what exactly he's swinging. It's he's swinging the cold itself. But it's he's holding something. And so he makes this swing, and it hits the sword, and the sword is knocked from your hand and shatters. And you hear this laugh, and the whole like group of these like shifting wind creatures laugh in unison, and they speak with one voice, but it's the voice of Minkar, only twisted and warped. And he says, "I'm not cold anymore, Commander."
Oh God.
That's the right answer. That's good.
Oh God. Antari says, return to where you came from, or I will free you from the form you're in.
That's good. Minkar laughs and spreads his hands, and as he does so, like again, we see this sort of like shifting amorphousness to him. And I think they're continuing to do this kind of like weird like moving in unison thing, these 10 beings. And he says, "I am one with Al-Bali. I am the cold itself. You cannot strike me down."
What is it you want?
What is it that the winter wants? To cover everything in a blanket of snow? For everything to freeze at my touch? We shall not relinquish it this time. Al-Bali will not allow for the spring to come. This is the utmost north, and the winter shall not leave.
I'm trying to figure out what the exact mission that that Antares and their people were sent on from Queen Commander Takana. Like, are they just supposed to like go north and see what's there, or like plant a flag or something?
I don't know.
Yeah.
We never talked about it, but like defeating Al-Bali is probably a really good idea.
Yeah, I mean, the obvious answer to me, I think, is like figure out what this unseasonable winter is, and do something about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once we were comrades in arms, and now we are opposed, and I will not hesitate to strike you down.
Good luck. And they flow towards you. They like spread towards you like cracks through the ice. And they pass you by and go for Lasath.
Lasath screams for help, right?
That's what I
like
would do.
they're fending them off, right? Like as best they can, right? But they're gonna lose unless Antares helps.
Yeah, Antares is gonna help. Antares is gonna kind of like strike from the back while Lasath is keeping them occupied at the front.
Yeah. Do you knock them down?
Yeah.
Like you have the power to be like, and I kill them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I'll kill them.
How do you do it? Like, do you just like cut them down with your short sword, or is this where you like just so that I know how to respond a little bit?
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah.
Paint us a pretty word picture, Al.
It is 11 p.m. It is too late for pretty word pictures.
Don't worry. Sorry.
I think that before Antares goes at the creatures, that they bend down and they swipe their blade through the mixture of snow and the starlit sword, the shattered bits of the starlit sword, and they swipe their short sword through that, and then they go at the beasts, the creatures, and they cut them down. And the shards of the starlit sword don't bestow as much of the cool stuff that the starlit sword itself had, but like it's enough.
Okay, but only if the sword is now gone. Like spread like stars across the cosmos.
And so it was. That's cool.
So I'm imagining like you like swing the sword, and I'm gonna go. If you're familiar with the Bleach anime, where like that dude's sword like breaks apart and it's like the shards hit, and like it's like a swing and the shards like hit these creatures and it just like fries them with light. And you hear this laugh. It's very clearly not Minkar. It's like the wind itself is laughing. It's like the ice itself as the leaves on the tree freeze.
It's the weather.
The voice, yeah, exactly. And the voice laughs and says, "Even when I lose, I win, Antares. You cannot stop me. Even when I lose, I win."
I think I'm good with ending the scene there. That's a cool thing to end on.
Yeah, that's solid.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Then we cut back over to our first story, and I think it's Elle. It's back to you again as the antagonist, and we're in the chambers of Spica, or at least we're meeting Spica. Sorry,
yep. And Spica.
Yeah. So,
quick question: how are we doing on time, by the way, Eric? What time were we planning on going? Okay, we're good.
Oh yeah, I feel like we don't have that many more scenes left. Like, feel like once we resolve what happens between the mistaken and our antagonist, it's probably gonna be close to wrapping up.
All right. I just want to make sure how hard I push here.
Okay, yeah.
I'm just trying to be cognizant. You know?
Oh, okay. So also, next time I play Polaris, I'm gonna make I've been keeping notes of things I should say when we do more Polaris stuff. Don't hold back. Don't hold back for the sake of time for this game. Go for what you're after. You can only if you want to see something on screen, put it on screen. Don't wait. And that's true for all story games, especially Fiasco. Like, if you get good at Polaris, like, Fiasco's an easy, like, it's a walk in the park. Sorry. Anyways, let's go.
Good call.
So, we're in the halls of Spica. Spica, this bureaucrat who knew Nakar in his youth. And there's like a desk at one end of this hall, and that's where Spica is sitting, and there's like a pile of paper to their right. That's the direction this is. And there's like and it's a pretty long, like stone hallway, and you have to walk the whole way up to go and speak to Spica. And Spica is just watching Nakar be escorted here by guards.
Yeah, so Nakar is gonna like dawdle. Like, if there's like a picture on the wall, he like stops for a minute and like looks at the picture. And like there's like a vase, and on a dais, and he like runs his hand across the pattern, and he basically makes the purpose of the hallway is to make the person like approach and wait to talk to Spica, but he like is flipping it around, right? He's making Spica wait on him.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually he makes it forward, and he greets Spica as he would another farmer in the field. He reaches forward to do like the forearm handshake.
Yes, Spica just stares at his hand and says, "Oh God," he says something cool.
Sure, that's fine. That's the John Harper way of role playing. Yeah, of course.
Something really
something of the
Yeah.
lines of like, this worked when we were in the fields, but we're not in
Yeah.
the fields now. You're in my territory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Right.
I love that.
I just want to. I'm so glad I'm recording this because that is the perfect example of what you should do in role playing. So thank you. No, seriously, seriously, that's exactly like so many people are afraid of doing that, and it's perfect. Thank you. Normally they're not interrupted by a narrator person being like, that's commentator, but yeah,
Live play-by-play commentary.
Yeah. Skill play by the rookie from the East Coast.
Nakar is gonna be like, haven't you heard, Spica? I'm a knight of the Starlit Order now. I've come out of my fields. I'm here to save my friend. Need your help.
And what friend would this be? When I knew you, your only friends were sheep.
Matar is a sheep.
You've come all this way to save a single sheep. That is what you're doing with your abilities as a Knight of the Starlit Order. You're saving an animal.
I don't have to take this. You were always bitter, Spica. And I think maybe there's the potted plant that he needs. Maybe it was growing in Matar's time. It was growing freely around the city, but the people of the cities around the capital realized that the plant had some sort of value. Maybe it's got some sort of property similar to aloe.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just goes and steps right past Spica and grabs the pot and goes to just leave with the plant.
I think as soon as you do that, the guards rush towards you. They are not actively going to stab you, but they are not going to let you leave with that with the pot without you at least saying something about it.
Yeah, so the guards go to approach him, and he's got the pot in one hand, awkwardly held with the starlit sword just in the crook of his arm, just totally not respecting this massively important artifact. Mm-hmm. I'm sure in the eyes of Spica, and he gestures with his crook and makes a move almost like he's nudging and guiding a sheep, and the soldiers just part their way. It's almost like an immovable force knocks them aside.
Oh no.
Only if the doors to this hall are barred from the outside.
Nice. Yeah, and so it was. And so I'm imagining the guards stumbling aside, and he just runs and shakes on the door, and it doesn't work, and so he's gonna call on his lore of demons again. And this time I think we see the shadows twist and move and become hands, and they go to rip the door open.
Only if by the time you arrive back home, your farm has been repossessed by Spica.
Brutal. That's so good. But only if I make it there in time to meet the tax man. Like they're like in process. Like, oh no, that's totally
No,
reasonable.
you're.
No,
So
it's
I
gotta be
never.
reassessed.
Yeah, I never mentioned it, but yeah, you can't really invalidate someone's, but only if with
Right.
your raise.
Absolutely.
That's something. Yeah, and that would be invalidating it. I mean, but asking if only if there's like a way, or something.
I'm gonna use that's no. You know what? I'm okay with that, but only if Spica is acting illegally. Like he's using his power as a bureaucrat to just like repossess the house, even though it's like not really. He's filing the right paperwork to the right people.
Yeah. And so it was.
Cool. It's your scene, right? So you.
Yeah. It can end with Nakar blasting open the doors, and Spica sits back down and signs a piece of paperwork.
That's so good. I love
So
the
dramatic. Like that's what I loved about this story going into it. I was like, this is gonna be some like really cute, like opposite of this other military story. Like I know it's gonna be crazy. That's good.
I especially love the idea of like Nekar has the power of like all of this like magic and like ancient artifacts, but like at the end of the day, his enemy just has the long arm of bureaucracy. It's
a good one. It is a good one.
So that jumps back and we do a protag scene for Antares, right?
Did I just
Oh,
have a
wait.
protag scene for Antares?
No, because I said an ambush, right? Didn't I do that?
You said an ambush, but I stopped
you said the
to
scene.
mail the queen.
You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right.
Right.
So I get to set a scene then as Al-Bali. So I think you make it to Polaris, the point of utmost north. And we see Lasath and Antares, and I think like as we open, you guys are beleaguered and tired, but you're making it. You've lost your starlit sword, but you still have your lore of demons and your commanding voice. Like at the point you like see this like cloaked and shrouded figure, and as you approach, you realize that it's like some sort of crooked, bent, broken tree. I'm imagining it like being like the growth on it being similar to like a willow, where it's got like these like weird like hanging leaf thing, but it's just like it's impossible to tell if it's like iced over or if it's just made of ice itself. But it looks like a person.
Okay, I think I'm gonna tell Lasath to stay back, like a few paces, like to like wait here, where it's maybe safer, and for Antares to approach this being alone, and just kind of gives a greeting, says, "I'm Antares, Knight of the Starlit Order, disciple of Queen Commander Takana."
The tree like shifts and like it like there's like a gust of wind that like makes it like almost look like it's bowing, and you hear the voice again from like the crackling of the bark and the freezing of the sap, and it speaks and it says, "A voice so commanding, how could even the winter help but bow? And yet, still I win. I told you, Antares."
The spring will have to come. That is the way of the world.
Is it not also the way of the world that... Oh, man. So I think he like makes some sort of like quip about you like always defending your soldiers. He's like, and yet, is it not the way of a soldier to die? I've seen you struggle time and time before to protect your soldiers. Why bother?
Because it is what must be done. That's why I'm here, to do what must be done.
It's a pity. What must be done is always so hard. Can you not see it? Your lieutenant is already freezing. And as you maybe turn and see Lasath is she's ankle deep or probably knee deep in this snowdrift, and it's slowly creeping up and freezing her solid.
Oh
Antares!
no.
Antares, I can't move.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Working on it.
So don't forget, you do lose. You just get to lose gloriously. And maybe not right now. Maybe you make it back to the queen. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean it's up to you.
Yeah. Lasath can freeze, but only if I get to say a proper goodbye.
Okay, but only if the goodbye are the last words that Antares speaks. He loses they lose their voice.
Okay, and so it was. I think Antares very purposefully turns their back on. I'm gonna forget everybody's names on Albali, on the tree, and goes to speak with Lasath and are their hands frozen yet? Are her hands frozen yet?
You can say.
Yeah.
They're not. Your hands aren't frozen yet, right?
Yeah, they're not frozen yet, and I'm gonna take her hands. I'm gonna give them a squeeze, and know she's cold because she's freezing. And I'm gonna say, oh God, something appropriately dramatic. I'm sorry that it had to end like this. You've been a faithful soldier and you've been a loyal friend, and I thank you for that.
I mean, I don't know what. I feel like all you can see is the cold breath of the frost from their mouth, right? And I don't think they. Well, why? I guess why is the last thing they're saying as they're dying, right? Why? Why are you leaving me like this?
Sometimes you have to make sacrifices. They kind of bump their forehead against Lasath's forehead and then let go of her hands. And
is there something you can do as the ice cracks up over? You're muted, Sam.
Sorry. I'm imagining this being essentially it almost looks like Lasath is becoming the ice. It's just this perfect ice sculpture of her hips up.
Mm-hmm.
And we hear this sickening laugh as the tree begins to break, and the icicles fall and hit the ground and shatter. And you hear the I think you can still communicate, but because the Albali doesn't like actually talk, right? Like the rest of the
Yeah.
people are just hearing icicles hit the ground. Like you're just hearing it in your mind. Essentially, you're able to interpret what the winter is telling you, and it says, "I told you, I always win. Spring was always going to come. But how will you deliver the news to the queen?"
I mean, what I really want to do is have Antares just go like this. Like, just kind of like, saying like I still have other ways to communicate. Like, maybe just like maybe they have like a scroll case like at their hip, like the opposite hip to where they have their short sword sheathed, and they kind of like gesture towards that, like, you've taken my voice but you've not taken my ability to communicate with people.
You gesture to the scroll case, and only then do you notice that your fingers are black with frostbite.
Sorry, I'm moving. I've been sitting on my legs for the past like 2 hours. So
Yeah. You were having frostbite, I think is what he said.
Yeah. But only if I'm still able to grasp my sword.
But only if in your rage you move to strike down the tree.
And so it was.
Tell us how it happens.
Yeah. So Antares looks down and they see that their fingers are blackened, and they still have enough movement to be able to like close their fingers around the hilt of their short sword and to draw it. And they basically like charge at the tree with all of the like rage and loss of all of their soldiers, and then the second loss of their soldiers who they had to go and fight, and the loss of Lasath, and potentially the loss of the world if Albali is not stopped.
Yeah, so as soon as your sword tip touches the trunk of the tree, this short blade, the tree just like explodes in a plume of snow. But like all you hear is just Albali's laughter in your head. And then I think we jump forward to you and in the court of the queen. Like we see like an even more beleaguered, even more tired Antares having like come all the way back. And the queen just says, "Report. Antares, report." And unless you have something else, that's where the scene ends.
You've been gone for so long. We haven't heard any messages from you. Yeah, scene. For sure. So then we cut back over to Nekar.
Yeah.
So epic and so tragic.
I know. This is literally what Polaris is designed to do. Like, this is what we're supposed to do. Yeah. Cool. So, I think this is Elle's scene? No. You just went with us.
Yep, I just went twice in a row. That was Sam's antagonist scene, and now it's time for his protagonist scene.
That's right.
Yeah, so Nekar gets back to his house, which has been repossessed.
Mm-hmm.
So like, just to give me an idea, like, is there like someone already living there? Like, is his mother like just like out in the cold with like trying to like lay among the sheep?
Yeah, I think they're in the process of moving all their stuff, right? Like, what do you call it? What's the word for getting forced out?
Evicted?
Evicting, yeah, right. They're being evicted, so like they're getting all their stuff to the curb, right? Like getting all their supplies to move, and so like, a bunch of their most well-trained sheep are like laden with stuff, right? It's not like one of them has like a giant armoire on their back, but you know, it's like just like they're like trying to get packed with some stuff on them.
Mm-hmm.
Nakar like approaches his mother and says, "What's going on? Why are you not inside, mother? It's cold. The winter is almost upon us."
I think your mom's probably afraid to mention, right? My son, Matar didn't make it, and we're forced to sell the property.
But
I'm so sorry.
he's just like holding this plant, right? This like
Yeah.
potted plant.
I know this whole time it wasn't fast enough.
And man, what does he do here? I think he just drops the plant, and we like see like the pot shatter and like the plant like break apart and like just scatter across the ground.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And he like turns, and we finally like see him actually like draw the Starlit Sword. And I think it looks like rather plain. Like the ability, we've already seen like the ability of the sword. It like allows him to move like the light. It doesn't look like anything special. And he just sword drawn approaches and I think we have like if I can't have it, nobody can, and he just like slices Go ahead.
No, like that's really good, because I realized I don't think your mom would say it, but if there was like a flashback or whatever, like Matar was using its strength to defend the place from the tax man, right, and had to be put down, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know if your mom communicates that to you or not, or if it's implied or whatever, but like I want to bring that on screen.
Right? I've got a great idea. So like, I think like maybe like someone is wearing the like sheepskin.
Oh, and that's what flies you into a rage. Of course. Why do we even need an antagonist? Because we're just doing the job for L here.
But yeah, so he just like in one slash, we like see like the house like he like moves like the light, right? We see the flash of light, and then the house like shifts and like just like begins to like slide apart.
It's like one of those cut the rope games where you can slice the box.
Yeah.
And yeah. Okay. But only if in the process of finding somewhere else to live, the rest of your sheep die.
Okay. But only if Nakar gets to but only if trying to figure out how to word this. Like he gets like a moment with like the man, like the tax man, or like whoever is wearing like the skin of Matar. He like gets a moment like as the guy's like dying in front of him.
And so it was.
Yeah, so we like see like this guy maybe like just like bleeding on the ground. Nakar like approaches, and he like sets the Starlit Sword in like a plume of snow, and like does the same with his crook, and he like leans forwards as this guy's like choking and like trying to speak. Like, what does he say?
He's presumably mistaken, so yeah, it makes sense. Like
Yeah. God, I had something and then I immediately forgot it.
That's what happens. I mean, it's getting close to 11:30 for you.
Yeah.
You're allowed.
Something like you interfered.
Yeah. And so like Nakar like puts his finger to the man's lips, like maybe gets like a little like blood on his hand while he's doing it. And like moves to like whisper in his ear. And he whispers he like invokes his lore of demons for the final time. And he says, I will interfere again. You will not go to live among the stars with the dead. I consign you. You are one with the demons. You will join them in agony.
Yeah, that's really cool. So it's really cool. But like he's like coughing up blood, like there's blood getting on the sheepskin. Stains really vividly because it's, you know, red blood on white on white wool.
Great detail. Yeah.
So is Matar's skin salvageable?
Doesn't sound like it.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and so it was. Yeah, so he like, I think maybe like as he's like whispering this, we see like the shadows like do the similar thing with like the grasping hands, and it combines with the shifting of the earth, and like sort of the combination of like the shadows and the ground like sort of swallow this person, taking the last memory of Matar with him. And maybe then like the last thing we see is Nakar like traveling with his mother, and like every place they find is occupied, and like he like slowly, you know, he's trying to make sure his sheep live, but
it's a struggle.
Yeah, he can't, like he can't, but he does make it. He finds a place for him and his mother, and he does not have to go back to the city.
Aw.
Yep.
Is that
It's
it?
a place for
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So it was.
That's a good one. Was that the?
That's
yeah.
all I got. Unless you've got a but only if for me.
Yeah.
No, that's all I got. Nakar can live with his mom and his lack of
struggle.
sheep.
Yeah. And eke out something. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then for Antares, we're in Queen Tucana's. We're like in the hall of the queen, wherever that is, right?
Yeah, another hall scene.
The starlit steps. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so like we started, like it was something like the queen was demanding a report, right? And I think it's Altair scene, so.
Yeah, and Antares can no longer talk because Al-Bali took that from them, and they can't write because their fingers are frostbitten, so they can hold their sword. They cannot hold something to write with. Oh, God.
Is it noticeable that your hands are like that and stuff like that? Is there other signs of this?
Yeah, because like the fingers are black and like they're stuck in kind of like a this position. Like it's not something that they could move their fingers from.
Yeah, the queen, you know, exasperates, you know, like by the stars above or something like that, and like get the best people to help you. right? But of course, it's probably to no avail or whatever. It's up to
Yeah.
you, right? But like, yeah, like the court's helping you. The please understand, like talk to us when you can. But then, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in this moment, Antares realizes that the sword can perhaps be a brush.
Sword is the short sword.
Right. It can act like a brush, but there's only one kind of ink that the sword can use.
God.
And there are a lot of guards around, but there's also you.
I've sacrificed a lot, and you know what? No, I can lose a hand. Like, I'm not going to go back into the field. I can lose a hand. I can write out my report with my hand blood.
And so then you spell it out with your hand blood?
Yeah.
Okay, hand blood.
I mean, I don't have it, but only if there. I mean, I was going to give you a hard time if you wanted to murder the soldiers, but since you're willing to cut off your own hand to make this report, I think that's plenty.
Antares isn't going back into the field. They lost
everyone that they cared about, right?
Yeah, they've lost everybody that they cared about. They're going to make the report, and then they're either going to retire or die.
Yeah, I feel like the queen, the queen just consoles you, right? Like, of everything you've lost and fought for. I think, like, yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like that's just like the queen's a compassionate person, and like while they're like headstrong and stuff like that, you've lost everything and just cut off your own hand to tell us what happened.
Yeah,
like geez, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't have anything.
Yeah, like
short scene, but it's impactful.
Yeah. Okay. Then so it was, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well then, guys, that's Polaris. We played a game today.
So if you couldn't tell, I was trying to be gentle at the beginning while Elle got her feet figuring out the game
acclimated.
And everything. Exactly, that's a good way. But by the time we were like getting to the utmost north, I was like, all right, I'm gonna start putting the pressure on. I'm just gonna make this terrible.
Likewise, I really want to hear what Elle has to say, but like just from my own observation. So like Elle, like there were certain points where I realized you got it, you figured out the game, and it was really cool to see. And that's what this game really does. It you could definitely see when it's not working and see when it is working. And there were several times when you really brought it. And thank you for that. But yeah. What were your thoughts of the game?
It's really I like the kind of upping the ante mechanic. I was with Ben Roswell, who is the person I'm doing Sun City Duet with. We were hacking firebrands, and we were trying to figure out like an anti-mechanic for it, and we couldn't. And this is it. This is the anti-mechanic that we couldn't figure out.
There you go.
So, like,
yeah. Hey, what are you hacking firebrands into?
We added some scene types because we're doing it and we're also doing it as a duet. So we had to hack some of the scene types that require outside people, and we also removed
like arguments and
and we removed we removed some of the ones that have to do with like outright like group violence because it's based on a space station and we're not going to have giant brawls in the middle of the streets.
The Firebrands and The King is Dead are no strangers to Once Upon a Game. Yeah. Those are some of my favorite games, so that's super awesome. Yeah. If you actually have those written up somewhere, I would love to see them.
Yes, we have a Google Doc.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to do it right now, just in the future. I would love for that to see to get those. But Polaris does that up the ante thing really, really well. In fact, it's like one of the only things it does. Well, in the way that we do it, as the way it's prescribed for us. The longer form game introduces some stuff that we can see on the character sheets here that we never touched. For example, these stats in this bottom box here: zeal and weariness, ice and light. Ice and light augment the things. Like they're kind of important, but the most important things are zeal and weariness, and the way and they're a sort of a narrative control of this game. One of the things that you do is with zeal is sort of like everyone starts with a very high zeal. That's like I'm gonna make a difference. And the weariness is like after you keep getting worn down by the mistaken. Like there's literally a part of the book where it's like you are challenged by doing this thing when there's harm against people, when there's harm, like when you put yourself above others, and like there's like a criterion, and so like you're like, oh no, I did all these things that are bad, right? Yeah. So yeah, Blue Light, thank you. Yes, this was a very cool game, and if you want to sign up to play, Sam just hooked me up here with the Discord link. We're in the Once Upon a Game channel. And I have my signups for August, and I believe there's still some spots available. But we play Tuesdays from about 6 to around 9 or so for all these games. But yeah, so Elle, like, I want to know more about, because like this was your first time playing the game. I know Sam and I have played before, so I'm really curious about the first like a new player perspective of the game and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it took a little bit for me to like get into it to figure out like where the boundaries are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a common.
But yeah, but I think once as the antagonist, once we got to the first blockade, that I was figuring it out.
Yeah, exactly. I saw it, like I felt it the exact same way, and that's why like I realized that by not being the antagonist early on, or like giving you guys like a good strong demo of kind of like how the game's supposed to be played, it kind of fed you to the wolves a little bit. But then I realized that Sam was able to pick it up and do that, and then you saw it as well. I'm like, okay, like you guys get the feedback, and it's a snowballing type game. The second time you play Polaris, it's always better.
I realized that was maybe something I didn't do so well as somebody who's played this. I've never played this game with somebody else who was new and not been the new person. I've played, I think, twice other than this, and like the second time was with all people who've played before. So I didn't do a great job. I was like trying to like go easy at first to like ease you in, which I realize is like completely the wrong strategy, because that just demos how to play the game wrong.
Yeah. Which
is just like a horrible way to teach anyone anything.
I was gonna segue into that, actually. So, well, yeah, I agree. This game reminds me in a lot of ways of when you play it. It's so free, and the like ocean that we're swimming in here is so deep because you just have like so much control over everything. It's very hard to understand how to set boundaries, or like how to get the story you want out of it. And something that I always found was that I always left this game thinking about the next time I play this game, this is what I would do, and that kind of stuff. Same thing like Microscope, where like how would I set a scene better, or how would I do something like, oh, thinking back on it, I should have said this. Like it's like you're learning the language of expression through the game of what you want to convey, and it's like super interesting. Yeah. All right. So Blue Light, it's in the channel description of Once Upon a Game.
Oh, whoops! I said pins, not.
Oh yeah, and the pinned link too. But yeah. So yeah, guys, this has been thank you everyone for hanging out today, and playing this game, and hanging out in chat. I really appreciate it. Elle and Sam, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. Elle specifically, you took a shot with a stranger, and I understand how like crazy that is to be like, I'm gonna spend 3 hours of my life with some rando Calrissian and play some kind of game that I've never heard of. And I understand how scary, like that's a scary thing, and that like, your willingness to invest in your time into something like that is something I really truly appreciate. As like it's, I don't know what else to say. Like that's so cool.
Yeah, there were about 5 messages in the 2 hours before this started with me being like, okay, no, this was a mistake. Like to one of my friends, I'm like, no, like this was a mistake, and he was like, no, just do it. Like it'll be fine. Just do it. You're good at games.
Yeah. See, I'm so glad. Who's your friend? Your friend's a hero. Your friend is a
Ben.
protagonist.
It's Ben.
Oh, yeah.
It's Ben.
Yep. Well, good job, Ben.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for coming. It's always great to get to play with new folks. I mean, that's sort of what brought me to Eric's channel the first time myself is, I wanted to expand my play group and my play horizons. So it's really great,
Yeah.
whenever we get new
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. I've always found that these games make me a better player and a better game master. They force you to think about what you really want and how to bring that on screen. And that's I love it. Like it's not even it's kind of like going to the gym for like campaigns. In addition to it also just being fun itself. Like it's not like doing like 10 sets of scenes or whatever. Like it's fun in and of itself, and it builds your like skill set, which is really cool. And plus like getting to meet new people who also like games is, and this game is like criminally under like represented. Like this, like all of these games, all these like independent story game stuff is just more people need to play them. They're incredible. They break down the barriers to what we think of as games, and like the sort of barriers to entry is what I really mean into a game. Because like the classic idea is like, oh, you want to play Dungeons and Dragons, join this campaign with an indefinite amount of length, spend 3 hours making a character, and then like see if you like it. No, just show up and just make pretty mouth pictures and tragically cutting off your own hand, writing the detailed effects of fighting winter itself to your leader before retiring, right? Like, it's like okay,
we're dying. It was
we're
open.
dying, right? Exactly. That's what makes this so it's crazy. It's utterly crazy that we came together in a couple hours and they gave us a framework to tell this story. So every time you play it's different and it's super cool. So so thank you. So let's just do some outros real quick. So Elle, how can people find you on the internet? And what do you do? And what podcast?
You can find me at Occasional L on Twitter, and you can find the podcast that I do at suncityduet.com or at suncityduet on Twitter or at suncityduet.tumblr.com. We are all of those places. Our first episode is currently uploading, so look for that in the next few hours. My audio quality in it is not great, but the next episode should be better. Also, there should be a transcript up tomorrow.
Oh, you guys are doing transcripts?
I'm doing the transcripts. I got through 26 minutes of doing the transcript before we started this.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's amazing. One more time. Is Sun City Duets?
Sun City Duet. SUNCITYDUET.
Okay. I'm going to be on the lookout for that. That's awesome. And then your occasional L, right?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Cool. I'm gonna follow you. I'm gonna get that stuff. So that's cool. Thank you, Sam.
Hey there. I am Sam. If you're familiar with the channel, you may recognize me already. I'm lucky enough to keep getting invited back to Eric's shows. I'm at Wizened Fool on Twitch, at the Wizened Fool on Twitter. I'm probably never going to get the actual Twitter handle because the person hasn't tweeted since 2009, and that's a thing. But you can find me back here on Sunday for more Burning Crowns, which is Burning Wheel, where I am totally not causing the apocalypse and am actually stopping the apocalypse with my faithful priest, Sulius Aurelius. Other than that, it's becoming less and less likely that it's going to happen this week, but definitely, if not Saturday, then next week I'm going to be getting on that Mountain Blade with the A Song of Ice and Fire mod. So we're going to be taking over Westeros.
Wow.
Oh yeah. It's a great mod. It's super complicated. I'm gonna I'm already not very good at that game, so I don't know why I'm even getting into this, but it's
gotta be crazy. Yeah.
I'm bad at games if anyone's never seen me play video games before, but we have fun. We have a good time. So yeah, follow me at those places, and otherwise, thank you, Eric. And since I know you'll forget as usual, if you like what you see, Eric has a subscriber button now. hit that button, and
Yes.
we'll get some more RPG stuff.
Yes, so that's the big thing. If you like this stuff, at least follow me and see all the stuff I do. Tuesday nights I do Once Upon a Game. This is the one-shot story game show, and then Saturday or Sundays I do my Burning Wheel game as well. Starting this Saturday, I'm debuting a new show. It's a 5-series long game of the Sprawl RPG set on Mars about Fast and the Furious anime racing crime on a Martian colony. So that's super fun. We did a lot of stuff with Downfall for the world creation. So that's a lot of fun. And yeah, so that's the stuff that we do right now. And I'm also on a bunch of other people's channels. You can all see that stuff by following me on Twitter at EricVulgaris is the other big thing, and see all the stuff that I'm involved with. So thank you guys so much. Everyone, like, thank you once again, Cass and chat. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and doing this with me today. It's a lot of fun, and we're gonna get out of here. So take care.